Hello again. I wanted today to do a video for you guys that was requested of me, a video for flexibility training, specifically for people who might, happen to find themselves tied up for extended periods, just might happen to. Unfortunately, I'm having some health issues right now that are making things like stretching particularly painful. I'm having an allergic reaction to something, and it's not a big deal. I'm going to the allergist in a couple of weeks. I'm on some antihistamines from the dermatologist in the meantime, but I don't know if you can see how like red and splotchy I am. I have hives pretty much everywhere, and yeah, they're itchy, but they're also kind of painful. So I don't think that, one, you guys want to look at my splotchy, gross body um, in my exercise gear doing a bunch of yoga poses, and two, frankly, the idea of doing a bunch of yoga sounds incredibly painful right now. So we're skipping that. I will hopefully have that one next week or the week after as soon as my body is cooperative again. And this week, instead, I'm going to go over some of my favorite fitness tools and apps. First and foremost, my Fitbit. There are a lot of similar items on the market right now. There's several different kinds of Fitbits, but there's also Jawbone, and I think Nike has one out, and I've seen a number of them on the market. I chose Fitbit largely because it's what most of my friends are using, which sounds like ridiculous peer pressure, but there is a social element to exercise and to motivation, and I didn't feel there was a significant difference in the quality of the device itself and in the quality of the applications that came with it, enough to steer me away from what my friends were already using, which had that additional built-in social aspect. I use the Fitbit Flex. There are several that you can like clip to your clothing. I personally chose the Flex because it, is on my wrist 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that means that I never, well, almost never accidentally leave it at home and lose the ability to track that day's worth of walking and activity. It is, to be honest, a fancy pedometer. Uh, it tracks a lot more than just your steps, but it does track primarily your steps and your activity level through walking and jogging. You can manually enter things like, I spent an hour on the bicycle, but you do have to manually enter that, which is a little bit of a downside. The Fitbit actually has a new, I think it's called Fitbit HR, but a new device that also is a wrist-worn device that monitors your heart rate. And I'm actually thinking about maybe switching over to that after a little more research, strictly because it does monitor your activity level based on your heart rate, in addition to all the stuff that is basically a pedometer, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Fitbit comes with a little application that can go on your phone or your tablet or what have you. Looks more or less like this. And you can see I've been kind of lazy today, only a little over 3,000 steps. You can see sort of where my ideal weight is and how far I am from that, how much I slept the night before, how many calories I have left for the day. That calorie count is actually a lie because I use a different app to track my calorie intake, and it does sync with the Fitbit app and with the Fitbit, and so they do sort of cross-pollinate like that. But I haven't actually logged anything yet because I was waiting to do this video to show you how that works. The app I use to track my calories is called MyFitnessPal. You can track your calories directly in the Fitbit app if you happen to have a Fitbit. There's a reason I've chosen not to, and I'll get to that in a minute. The MyFitnessPal app is actually really nice whether you have a device like a Fitbit or not. If you have something like that, it will sync. If you don't, you can still manually enter everything. It's a completely free application. And it looks a little bit like this. And there is a social aspect. You can see that's a post. I'm covering up the name of the poster. That's a post from a friend of mine. Oops. You can also click this little add to diary button. Great. And there we go. You can see I haven't added anything yet. And I'm just going to click breakfast. And it's going to load a little screen any second now. There we go. That you can see it has all of my most recently eaten foods for breakfast listed here underneath, and there's also a search function, so if I, had something different, I won't have to manually enter it. I can search for it, and if it's in the database already, I just plug it right in. As it happened, I did eat a bagel and cream cheese for breakfast, so I'm gonna turn my phone back on. Click on third reduced fat cream cheese here. Your phone's a little slow, so it actually lets you see that I just clicked on it. And it's going to pull up the screen with the nutritional information for the cream cheese in just a second. There you go. I'm going to confirm by clicking that little checkbox that that is the amount of cream cheese I had and that that's the right product in all of this. So I'm just going to click on that. There we go. Sorry, I know it's a little bit hard to see. I don't have the fancy pants technology to just record this as it happens. My phone's really slow. That is not the app, so please don't judge my FitnessPal based on my slow as heck phone. But any second now, it'll show my diary, and it'll show that added to my diary. And I'm not going to bore you by going through everything else that I ate today and making you watch me put all that in. But okay. And there you can see that it has updated my application with how much food I've had to eat, what the calories are. It's giving me this delightful warning that this food is high in saturated fat. I actually find the warnings that they give a little bit irritating because they always seem to find the worst things about the food you eat. It's never like, you ate an egg, that's high in protein, good for you. It's always, you ate an egg, that's high in cholesterol, you should be watching your cholesterol. So that's a little frustrating. It never seems to praise you. I mean, it does occasionally, I know those prompts exist, but it seems to choose the warning you about the bad thing you ate more often than praising you for eating something good. Even when the thing you ate was something like an egg that, yeah, has its pros and cons, but ultimately is a reasonably healthy food. I'm not going to bore you as I enter all of the rest of the food I've eaten today, because my phone is slow, as mentioned, and that will take forever. But if you give me 1 second, I am going to update all of this so you can see what it looks like, midway through a day. This is taking forever. Okay, so that is finally done. You can see that my FitnessPal feels I have 1,430 calories in a day. You can see what I've logged in as having eaten today, which is not much yet. It claims I have not done any exercise today, which is basically true. I need to get some steps in. Unfortunately, remember those hives I mentioned? Yeah, they are all the fuck over my legs, and it is not pleasant. Anyway, 1,430 calories is my daily goal. It adjusts for how much I've exercised and eaten and all of that. It says I've had 626 calories so far today, which seems accurate, and that I have 804 remaining. I'm not a huge proponent of dieting necessarily. I think that you should eat when you're hungry and eat what makes you happy and love your body regardless of what you weigh. I also know that personally, I find it really useful and really helpful to be accountable. I am much more likely to eat a whole lot of crap foods if I'm not writing everything down than I am if I write everything down. If I write things down, I think to myself, do I really want to admit to the internet that I ate 3 cookies today? And sometimes the answer to that is yes. Like, sometimes, fuck it, I want 3 cookies. And sometimes the answer is no, I don't really need those cookies. I'll have this, carrot and hummus instead, or whatever. My point is that I personally prefer the accountability, not necessarily for weight loss reasons, so much as because I just eat healthier when I know that everyone I know can go and look and see what I was eating recently. One more app that I want to talk about really quickly. It's very simple. It's barely even a fitness app. It's called Charity Miles, and it looks something like this on Android. And what you do is you turn on your GPS on your phone, and you scroll through all of these charities that are available, and you select one that you like. I usually go for the Nature Conservancy, because I'm a big hippie. And then you tell it whether you're walking running, bicycling, what have you. Ooh, indoor walk. I don't know how that works. I'm gonna have to look into that because it is freaking cold out. Anyway, once you start that, you hit start. This little start button down here. And it's going to yell at me because my GPS isn't on. Ooh, we use your phone's accelerometer to detect motion and approximate your distance. It's not 100% accurate, but we are doing our best. That's pretty awesome. I'm totally going to use that today because I need to get in more steps and I'm not going outside in the freezing cold to do it. So, anyway, it donates a small amount. I think it's 25 cents per mile if you are walking or running, and 10 cents per mile on the bicycle, but, you know, a small amount per mile to the charity that you've chosen, just for walking. So again, this is not necessarily something that's going to motivate you to get your steps in, or to get to the gym, or to eat healthy, or what have you, but really, if you're going to get out there and get moving, why not donate to the charity of your choice while you're doing it? It does ask you to post to either Twitter or Facebook with a little blurb about, you know, whatever company it is that's actually sponsoring you. Timex, I know, has done it. I think a couple of different sports companies have sponsored me over the last year or so that I've been using this program. But it's a great little program. There's no cost to you whatsoever. It takes up a little bit of space on your Android or your iPhone, and you get to do good things and feel good about yourself, not just because you're getting out and exercising like you know you're supposed to, because you're also donating money to a good cause. Again, what's not to like? The last app I want to talk about today is called Pact, and it is a site where you pledge to go to the gym X number of days, or if you have something like a Fitbit, meet your step goal X number of days, and you pledge to log your food on MyFitnessPal, which is why I use that instead of the Fitbit food logging part of the application, but to log your food X number of days, and you pledge to eat your fruits and veggies X number of days, and then you pledge a dollar amount for each one of those days. So if you say 7 days of going to the gym, and 7 days of logging your food, and 7 days of eating your fruits and veggies, you're on the line for a total of 21 days that week. And what happens is that you set a dollar amount, minimum dollar amount for each day. The minimum dollar amount is $5. And if you miss a day, Pact charges you those $5 or those $10 or those $20 or whatever it is that you pledged. And it's really motivating, because if you don't have that money, you're going to get off your butt and go do the healthy activities that you ought to have been doing anyway. I personally don't ever set myself up for 7, 7, and 7, because that is just a recipe for disaster. You know, everyone has bad days, and you don't want that to be a day where you're on the line. But so this is what the app looks like. And you can see, actually, it says a little earned button there. That is because in addition to charging you for days that you miss, it rewards you for days that you reach the goal that you set. So what ends up happening is, like today, this week, you can see I've signed up for, my phone's off. I've signed up for 2 gym days and 5 food logging days and 0 days of eating my fruits and veggies. I'll get to that in a minute. But so that means I'm on the line for a total of 7 days. A total of $5 per day is $35 a day. That's not true. $35 a week. Up to $35 a week. And if I miss, like if I weren't to get my exercise in and I weren't to log food anymore, I would be on the line for a total of 4 days that I didn't do what I said I'd set out to do. And so they would charge me $20 for those 4 days, a total of $20 for those 4 days. Now the upside, you can see there's a little earned column as mentioned. $16.05, not a lot of money, particularly given how long I've been using this application, but it is a financial reward for doing the activities you ought to be doing anyway. I think I average about 70, 75 cents a week, somewhere in there, when I'm in full swing. Right now I am sort of ramping back up after the holidays, but usually I do a minimum of 3 days walking, a minimum of 5 days doing my food logging. And yeah, it gives you money for doing the things you ought to be doing anyway, and it's hard to complain about that, in my opinion. The reason that I'm not a big fan of the fruits and veggies pact is that the way it works is you take photos of what you're eating, and the community signs off on whether or not that's a fruit or vegetable that you've eaten. My problem with this is primarily that that makes you one of those people who is constantly photographing their food. And I've got nothing against photographing your food if, like, you go out and somebody has done this gorgeous job at the restaurant of plating your meal. That's a piece of art. It's worth snapping a photo of. But to, like, snap a photo of every apple I eat seems... I just don't want to be that person. And so I don't usually do the fruits and veggies pact. Plus, frankly, I'm a vegetarian. I don't have a lot of problems getting my fruits and vegetables, and I eat a ton of vegetables and a pretty good solid number of fruits on a daily basis, so I don't personally feel like I need the extra motivation there. But again, it's a great motivation. It's a financial motivation. You know, if you don't eat the fruits and veggies you said you were going to eat, that's $5 a day at a minimum. Whereas if you do eat the fruits and veggies you said you were going to eat, that's a few extra cents in your pocket, and that's pretty nice. That is it for this week. I will be back next week, hopefully, with that flexibility training I mentioned earlier in the video. If I'm still not up for that kind of physical activity next week, I will think of something else to talk about. Have a great week in the meantime, and be healthy, and be fit, and be safe.